See, now it fits on this channel. What's going on, everyone? Today I've got the new Tekno MT48 2.0 here on the bench. Now, I don't cover a bunch of monster truck stuff on this channel, but I do own a few, and I own a few Tekno vehicles at the same time, but this is my first monster truck from Tekno. Now, I did drive the MT410, the original one, a number of years back, and was always impressed with the durability and how it was built overall. While it was labeled a 10th scale monster truck, it was 8th scale performance, super beefy parts inside, and was super impressive. Now, later on, they updated the MT410 to the 2.0 and tried to make it more of a 10th scale sized vehicle because the original MT410 was larger. But getting back to this one, it's gone back to that bigger size. Since the 48 does carry the 8th scale name on it, they have also beefed things up even further. While the previous MT410 used a buggy chassis, this one uses a little bit longer setup. And while the original 410 and the 410 2.0 used some super beefy diffs, this one stepped up the diff size even a little bit further, using the diffs from the 8th scale truggy that Tekno uses for racing. So if you're looking to compare parts, look at the ET or NT 2.2 vehicles that Tekno uses. Some of the other big changes, if you're comparing it to the previous MT410s, are the shocks. While the original 410 used some 13mm diameter short core shocks, the MT410 2.0 as well as this one use the 8th scale size. So those are the 16mm diameter. Now, this does run equal length front and rear shocks, which is noted to be for body compatibility, just to make sure that you don't have to deal with a larger rear shock tower. It does have 70-75 shock towers on this that bolt to those super beefy diff housings. They're also 4 or 5 millimeters thick, so everything on this truck in general feels wildly stout. While I do have some other monster trucks that I've beat on pretty good and have had part failures here and there, I just can't imagine what I would have to do to like these arms or these shock towers, these diffs, to actually break them. Just everything that you bolted onto this used great big hardware. It threaded into plastic that had just a ton of bite and felt super secure. It was one of the most satisfying kits to build, just because everything fit really well. None of the plastic felt soft or gummy unless it was in a place where it was supposed to, like the flexible front bumper, things like that. But where it was using that, it didn't necessarily thread into the part, rather than it used nuts to make sure that you got a ton of bite. And along with the build, the instructions on the Tekno was super nice to use. They're color printed with really clear, just instructions throughout. Having certain notes in red kind of helps bring attention to some things. They also use steps that is a little bit different than a lot of kits that I've used in the past. It'll have a step at the top that's like an overview of what you're going to be doing, and then it will break it down into the individual steps below that. Now, if you don't notice that right away, you may just be trying to use the overview step as the actual instruction. But as soon as you get past that and understand that, this is overview for bag C, then it's got C1, C2, C3, C4. And once you understand exactly how they do that, it's super easy. And again, the color print, color shading, good notes, everything like that was, it was just super simple. I found a single typo in the whole manual, which is pretty rare. They updated the screws to hold the motor in from 8mm long to 10mm long, and they include the proper screws in the bag, but they didn't have the manual updated to show those 10 mils. So, simple thing, they did say that they'll have an updated version on the website, to download, but super simple. The most simple of little things that I noticed. I had 2 leftover screws, and that was the reasoning from it. Couldn't have been happier with that. Again, good instructions go so far in a nice build like this. When you get the kit, it is a slider. It doesn't come with wheels or tires, a body, or any electronics, which feels pretty standard. I used some Arma tires here. I'll put a link down to that below. And then I ended up using a stance body, which is a crawler body. Maybe not the typical thing, but this, you need to put a body on this thing of some sort. I went to my local hobby shop and was kind of searching around. And one thing that I found is that a lot of bodies, specifically for monster trucks now, are kind of purpose built. They've got clipless systems and things like that, or molded in roof racks or skid pieces. All of those things that are nice on an RTR. You know, it's something you've come to expect from many brands. But when then they sell replacement bodies, they've got all of those cutouts and a clipless system that isn't backwards compatible with this. So when I was there, my hobby shop is well stocked, but the original feeling for me of using to have a huge wall of monster truck bodies of different designs and things like that just wasn't as available as, you know, I had previously remembered. So that's why I ended up using a stance body that I already had. Now, is this the first monster truck ever that will have some sort of interior? Probably not. Is it the first MT48 2.0? Probably. Do I expect this to survive? Absolutely not. Now for electronics in this, I decided to go with a Hobbywing system. I threw a 2200 kV system in there, and I'm gonna run this on 4S. They give you gearing charts and everything that you need in the manual for the different KVs that you may run with suggested gearing based on the amount of power you're going to be putting into it, like, you know, 4-cell or 6-cell. I'm going to run a 2200 on 4S rather than 6S. Just because. For the steering servo, I went with a Reef Smart 900, and Tekno gives you a sintered servo horn that is built specifically to the clearances and dimensions of this kit, which fit really well on there. No slop in the splines. And again, it was meant for it, so it fits and sits tight on top of the servo and keeps the geometry nice. There wasn't anything during this build that like I had to sit there and kind of fiddle with or question. It just all went together well. You know, building the super beefy turnbuckles is a bit of a chore for somebody who, like me, who doesn't build turnbuckles very often. The other thing that I just was fun to notice is the number of little pieces of custom hardware that this kit uses that are custom machined here and there. Simple things, well done. It's just like, oh, look at that nice little, custom piece of hardware that they're using. I think one of the weirder ones for me is how Tekno does the lower shock screws. So on the arms here, you can see over here a silver screw and over here a black screw. The silver screw is a left-hand thread. I don't necessarily know why that's needed. It's probably not needed, but it's something that they do. It doesn't hurt anything, and it's threading into plastic, so if you decided you just wanted to put a standard screw in there, you could. It's just how they do it. Getting back into some of the little differences between the previous versions and this one, this does use one-piece CV or universal style axle shafts rather than a multi-piece CV design on this one. It uses hinge pins that have nuts on either side rather than the previous style that were, I believe, a captured design. The new carriers on this also use a larger, beefier bearing design to go along with those new axle shafts just to increase durability even further. The shocks, while they are the 16mm design that you would have seen on the MT410 2.0, these are using a new boot design that's supposed to be more durable also. The center diff in this car is an enclosed system. The original one had a sliding design. The MT410 2.0 and this one both use a preset style. So it's labeled as far as what size pinion you're going to be using, and you just follow those corresponding holes bolted in there. You're able to drop this thing in without really giving it a second thought. They do have a sliding one available in case that is the style that you prefer. But when I bolted this thing up with the Mod 1 pinions, dropped right in, gear mesh felt great. Everything on that was no concern for me. Building the diffs in this was another easy task. There is a small difference between the center diff and the front and rear differentials. The center diff uses the metal cross pins that sit together and all goes in there with this 4-gear spider. The front and rear has like a molded cross that the gears go onto, which made assembly a little bit easier. Not sure if that's ever something that is worth noting or changing, but I built this to their specs as far as like the manual goes with the suggested diff fluid in the front and rear and center, as well as the shocks. All of that fluid is included, so I didn't have to buy anything extra. I just followed the instructions and did it exactly how they show. Also worth noting is the skid plates that the front and rear diffs have. These now wrap around and under to protect that underside there. I believe previously it didn't do that, and I think that like RPM made some bolt-on ones. And that front skid plate also goes up and forms the true like monster truck style bumper that you are probably used to. In the rear, it goes up to a wheelie bar. which why not? Now it does come with plastic bushings for the wheels out of the box. You could upgrade those to a bearing if you wanted. It is an 8 by 16 by 5 millimeter bearing, and you'd need 4 of them if you wanted to do that swap. With the 2200 kV system in here, I think that I'll be on that wheelie bar quite a bit, so I'm looking forward to it. I assume that I'll probably put it right on top of its lid in short time. Obviously, being a kit, radio gear is not included either. I threw a FlySky receiver in there, and I'm gonna run my G11P for this task. And that covers the gist of it. I mean, it's just a super beefy monster truck, and it's gonna do monster truck things. So let's go get it out in the dirt and see what this thing will do. All right. Okay. This'll work.
Yeah.
Why not?
Pretty wild.
Yeah. Geez, someone's done some work. Looks like someone got their stuff stolen, rummaged through, and dumped here. There's an iPhone. I'll have to power it up and see if I can contact them.
Oh, shit.
At least I can get their phone back to them, maybe. Well, we'll take that back with us. If I had a trash bag, I'd grab the rest, but we'll take that back with us when we leave. Doesn't. Oh, here we got some real big ones down here. Oh, landed it. So this thing took a hell of a beating after a few packs, and I had a blast with it. I did pretty much destroy the body in the on those first runs, though. So not an ideal monster truck body, but I thought it looked good enough. So I liked the bright color for filming at the very least. Everything else is in good shape. I mean, it's surprising. With how bad I am at driving a basher, I'll say that I was pretty happy that everything held up like it did. I mean, what else can you say? It's just made to just do stupid stuff with, and it will do exactly that. And I think that's what people want for monster trucks. So I had a blast with it. Looking forward to getting it back out there here soon. I found that new bash spot. Maybe I'll take it back and see if I can drive in a slightly less novice way. More on that later, though. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I appreciate all of you for watching. Thanks for checking out the Tekno MT48 2.0, and we'll see you on the next one.